Hey, I'm James from Smokin' Head Barbecue, and today we're going to try and settle a little family quarrel. If you've been following the channel for a while, it should come as no surprise that I love Kamado style grills. For me, they're a bit like the sports utility vehicle of the barbecue world. You can move a bunch of people, you can be sporty, fuel efficient, go off-road, and there are few and far between other grills that can go everywhere from pizza to steak to brisket and ribs and do a mighty fine job. And so if you can only have one tool, I'm blessed with the option of having many to cook with, and I can get some of those best of breed examples in each category. But if you could only pick one, it is hard to ignore the versatility of a Kamado grill, and that's one of the many reasons that I love them. But all the Kamados that I've ever owned or used, I've never really given much time and attention to Chargriller. Maybe I've fallen for some marketing here and been snobby, even sometimes when it's the same product. One of the first vehicles I owned was an Acura CSX, which is really just a Honda Civic underneath. It's the same car. And so maybe marketing has got me time and time again, but I was blown away earlier this year when I bought, own money, a Series 1 Big Joe, and I was able to make results near identical to on my Series 3, which is more than double the price. And this has me questioning kind of everything that I've maybe fallen for in the past of marketing. I'm being too snobby to overlook a great deal in the sub $500 category. And this presents an interesting option. If I've got $500 to spend and I want one tool, am I better off going with something like Kamado Joe's offering, the Kettle Joe, in that sub $500 space, spending double that and getting a classic Series 1, which I've had before, or looking at Chargriller's option here, the Akorn, under $500. And as you can see on the box, Akorn has and Chargriller have not been afraid to throw shade at ceramic grills in the past with some claims in terms of their durability and lightness. And now that Middleby has acquired Chargriller as well as Kamado Joe, they're all part of the same family. So I can imagine that'll make for a fun family reunion. Without further ado, let's get this out of the box. So immediately, we haven't even got this out of the box, and I can already vouch for the first claim on the box here that this is 45% lighter. Single-handedly, I'm able to pick this up, put it on the table, and bring it around over to this unpacking area without an extra set of hands. I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing necessarily, but I can definitely say this is lighter. Let's see what's inside. So we've got everything out of the box. As you can tell from fast forward, there was no big surprises or challenges. Everything was pretty straightforward, but there is a lot of parts. And this is one of the things that I've been spoiled with on opening a Kamado Joe product. And this stands unique in the industry in terms of any other grill I've put together. I haven't by any means put every single grill together, but compared to the Big Green Eggs that I owned before or many other grills, the Kamado Joe comes in amazing packaging. And really all you're doing is just removing, you know, some of this protective film and bubble wrap and styrofoam, and then you're ready to get cooking. That is not gonna be the case. So I'm gonna have to do my least favorite thing when it comes to opening a brand new grill and check out my instruction manual here, see what sort of steps we have to put this together. And this is par for the course in the sub $500 space. The Kettle Joe is no different. Even though it's a Kamado Joe brand, the assembly experience there is not the same as it is on sort of the proper Kamado Joe family, where everything comes ready to go minus a little bit of protective packing material. So like the Kettle Joe, which given the price similarity, this doesn't surprise me in any way. So let's take a quick gander at our instructions and get this together, and we can start to see how it compares and what some of the features and differences are versus the Kettle Joe. This is why we do things on Saturdays. Okay, about 2 hours later, and we have got our Chargriller Akorn all together, and I probably could have saved about 30 minutes there if I would have been willing to wave the white flag and surrender and ask for some extra help a little bit earlier on. But it was really the cart and the legs where you're trying to balance a couple things and just get the bolts into place that I couldn't do with just my own hands. I will say everything is machined remarkably well for this price point in terms of, you know, I didn't have any hardware strip. The inlays for the bolts and everything are machined and easy to access once you've got an extra set of hands. And there is a couple of features that I'm already admiring just in terms of the control top versus the control top on the Kettle Joe. And I know we're comparing apples and oranges here. This is a Kamado style product. This is a kettle style product. So they are not, sort of a direct competitor in any way, but they are now distant relatives. So they both belong to the same parent company, and they both sort of target an entry-level price point. And people ask me all the time, if I'm not willing to take the jump financially for a Classic Joe or Big Joe Series 1, 2, or 3, whatever it may be, can I make great food and spend sometimes half to 25% the amount of money? And absolutely, this up until now has been sort of a great starting grill recommendation that will get you several years of use before you run into any of that normal metal grill challenges, where maybe the lifetime warranty of a ceramic grill, buy it once and use it forever, might start to appeal to you. So the other things that I noticed that were impressive, so the control tower top versus the control tower top on the Kettle Joe, you don't have any heat protection here, so it does get quite hot on your fingers. Same thing with the bottom temperature control. You've got a nice, again, premium feeling tab and slide that works more similarly to what you would get on the Big Joe. In fact, it's even numbered here, which makes it easy for the beginner to find a temperature. So if I go here, this is going to be a consistent 270 degrees. I also appreciate the gasket material. So this looks very similar to the high heat gasket material that you get on the Series 2 or the Series 3 Classic and Big Joe. And that was one of the pet peeves that I had with the Kettle Joe. And I did add, and you can barely see it there, but I added a felt gasket to help cut down on smoke leaks as well as grease leaks that would be leaking out the front of the grill. So that was maybe a $10 fix. So it was not something that you can't overcome, but I appreciate that right from the factory, this has been something that has been considered. So I'm not going to do a full review today of the Akorn grill because this is, again, something where I just always get it wrong. If you try and do a review of a product that's just showing up, you might rate it too favorably, and then you don't know some of those issues that show up over time. Like I mentioned in my pet peeve video, how the ash drawer in the Kettle Joe is a thinner metal and tends to be really easy to warp and bend compared to the indestructible ash catchers on the Classic or the Big Joe. Likewise, maybe you can give a false negative. And so the Joe Tisserie, I used it, reviewed it right away. I was so excited to get it. I didn't really find the chicken tasted any better. Turns out a lot of that is user error and just learning how to get the most out of the tool. And it has quickly skyrocketed, tied to first place for my favorite accessories. And sadly, it won't fit either of these two. The Kettle Joe is 22 inches in size, where at least that opens up a world of accessories from the Weber market. So I actually have a Weber rotisserie, or I have some slow and sear baskets and things like that that have given me a little bit more utility and modification options on the Kettle Joe, which again just keeps the experience fun, exciting, and able to provide new cooking options. But sadly here, the 20-inch size of the Akorn means it won't work with the Classic or the Big Joe size. The Classic is 18-inch, so this is larger, but the Big Joe is 24-inch, so this is smaller. So the Joe Tisserie, Dojo, or anything like that won't be cross-compatible with the Chargriller Akorn. But we are going to do our first fire today. I have an appetizer to make for a pool party later this afternoon, so why don't we grab some charcoal, fire it up, and we'll do a bit of our first burn and some impressions. Okay, another nice feature is that you actually get this latch clasp to help keep a great seal on your dome. So that's something that is similar to the Series 2, Series 3 Kamado Joes, as well as we have a warming tray here. So if you wanted to put a little bit of storage up top, I wouldn't want to put too much weight on that. I had a similar accessory once really early on in my Big Green Egg, and I tried doing some extra ribs or things like that, and with the heat it did give way. But if you use this as it's called, a warming drawer or tray, that will be great. The other thing that I like here is that you're getting a cast iron grid as stock, and you have the ability to drop in either more charcoal or wood, since if you're cooking direct, otherwise you'd have to remove the complete grid. Down inside we have our charcoal sort of ashtray catcher, which is the whole bottom actually completely drops off when the grill is cool, and you can remove your ash that way. So we've got a fire grate that we're going to put our charcoal on here. Here we have our tabs for our heat deflector. This I did get, but this is not included in the box. So this is the one aftermarket, or sorry, not aftermarket, it's made by Chargriller, but the one accessory that's not included for the price. But this will be just like the plate setter was on the Big Green Egg. It's actually pretty much the same shape without the little feet on that. So let's grab some charcoal and start a fire. All right, our break-in cook is going well. I let it run for about 30 minutes just to make sure there was no packing materials or anything like that. And so I've almost got our potatoes near ready for our pool party. If you'd like to check this out, this is Chef Eric Gephardt from Kamado Joe's cooking channel. This is his goose fat potato salad. It is always a family hit. And it's got about another 5 minutes or so before it's ready. So you join me just as I'm gonna get a little fresh cracked black pepper, as well as some Malden's smoked sea salt. And we're gonna let that simmer down. That's apple cider vinegar, some sugar, and Dijon mustard. So lots of good things going on in there. And I'll rejoin you in a few minutes for a recap. All right, our break-in burn cook is over, so I've just transferred it over to the Kettle Joe to help that cool off. So way too quick, 30-minute cook for first impressions, but I will say this, if you can use, or you have used a Kamado Joe, a Big Green Egg, a Weber Summit, you can use this. The operation feels, at least in this first cook, identical. What I'll be looking for in a low and slow cook, I'm guessing, I'm sort of suspecting here, that this may perform more similar to other metal insulated grills that I've used, whether that's the Broil King, easy for me to say, the Broil King Keg or the Weber Summit, where one of the things I've noticed is they're actually even more fuel efficient than what I'm used to, but I also found on those ones that this comes at the cost of sort of a dirtier smoke, because the charcoal embers can just barely glow along and hold low and slow temperatures all day. So far, so good. Really happy with all the features and the performance at this price point. And I think it's going to make a really interesting discussion in terms of which of these should you pick if you only had 500 bucks to spend and you could only have one grill in your backyard. That's it for today, though. I'm James from Smoking Dad Barbecue signing off. But before I let you go, I want to let you know about a giveaway. I'm soon approaching 100,000 followers, and Kamado Joe has been kind enough to partner with me to help give away a Kamado Joe Classic Series 2 with a whole bunch of gear. So make sure you're subscribed if you're not already. And once I cross the 100K, I'll be doing a giveaway by picking a subscriber at random. So make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell turned on so you're alerted to future videos. That's it for today, though. I'm James from Smoking Dad Barbecue signing off. Remember, don't be afraid to fire it up.